Yeah.
So it's like,
but I just can't listen to another evaluation of another woman's dating situation. Like,
you had Kevin Samuels on?
Yeah, and I
think he's a terrible person.
Okay, we can talk about that, but I just have a lot of friends who like watch this shit over and over, and I'm like, bro, at a certain point, don't you feel like you've just learned enough about like unhappy women who are like having a hard time dating?
It's not like the clips at first to me, like they were jarring to see, but like building a brand on shitting on black girls, like I don't like that.
You really think that's what it is, though?
100%. I think some of the advice has been,
so
I would say conducive, but like for the most.
Telling the truth is shitting on women these days. Telling the truth is shitting on women. And I'm going to use this clip to kind of highlight a growing problem with women in the danger zone as it persists, that no truth is not toxic or is not insulting, if not ladled in with a bunch of superficial sweetness. But I want you to understand that every one of my critics that keeps talking about this tone stuff, notice the tone when they speak about me and the desire they have for me. It's like, oh, I don't like what he's saying, but I can't wait till somebody fuck him up.
Part, like, no, your most viral and salacious shit is really talking about women badly.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't like that. Like,
but don't you think that like the women that he's shitting on, like they deserve it?
No.
Really?
No, I don't.
I think like the point that I was so easily able to call from the Kevin Samuels thing was just like, these women are being raised to not understand what the fuck is going on. Like they just really
telling girls they're fat, looking like a linebacker, shit like that. Like that's fucking nuts.
The women that he says that to are the women.
Telling women that they're fat or looking like a linebacker is fucking nuts. So what are we supposed to say? What are we supposed to tell you, ladies? That when you're 5'8" and 230 pounds, that you're gorgeous, that you're what every man dreams about. See, the problem with the women like this and so many women in the danger zone have is because they're coming to a very hard realization right now that out there in the world, many of them did not have or don't have what their mothers and grandmothers had. That's a man, a dating life. Women in the West worldwide are coming to the conclusion that their PhD.
I'm a PhD.
And everything else doesn't matter a hill of beans, because the very men that you want, the high value men that you want, don't see you. You're invisible. Most of you lack femininity or your body count or whatever. And the fact of the matter is, it's like no criticism. Now, I'm going to say Adam did a good job here, basically flipping up and saying, well, what about when women have to do it to men? I want you all to focus on this person. They all act like they haven't seen my show. And I'm going to judge based on what they say, not what I think. You're talking about somebody based on clips. But you're going to say he's a horrible person. No, ma'am. Women like you just don't like the truth. And the truth is, you made your choices, just like men make their choices. And men deal with the consequence of those choices. What women are starting to find out is they're not really ready to deal with the consequences of their choices. That's what freedom is. Freedom to win, freedom to fail.
Who think that they're going to get some, like I've seen these women who are like 300 pounds saying that they deserve a guy who's making, $1 million a year and shit. And it's like, that's not going to happen for you. Like, you are crazy for thinking that this is how the world works. And for him to have to even tell them that is pretty shocking to me.
It's just shocking to watch him speak that way, because I don't really see the caliber of woman he could get. Like, I don't.
Let's knock this shit out of the park right now. Ma'am, let's be honest. You're you, I'm me. I've never had a problem getting any caliber of woman I want. This is the same sign language shit that always goes on. Well, who is he to say that? The women I deal with, if I were to bring them on camera, would shut your mouth quickly. Adam 22 has seen them. But again, this is what women in this danger zone. They always go back to, wait, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? See, it always comes to the ad hominem when the truth comes out. Well, let me see your pedigree. Let's see your PhD. Let's see your ranking. Let's see who you date. See, I will never, ever expose the women in my life to this madness. because I could put an angel on this screen and somebody would find something wrong with her, especially women who hate the truth. Honestly, they sit back and watch this program and laugh. They're like, wow, these women really believe this. He's not on my level. Really? Really? I may not be your cup of tea, but let's not act like my tea does not get served anytime. I'm to the point to where women are so willing to suspend belief. Now, I've actually heard women who are straight up fours by any stretch of the imagination, 300 plus pounds. Talking about who you think he is? He don't even look that good. He ain't even in that. How good does a man need to look for you? But again, it's the same stuff. Criticize the man, insult the man. And gentlemen, I need you to understand why they get so upset. Because I advocate for you. Because typically, a man like myself is supposed to be selling she's a queen, she's a goddess, she's a this, she's a that. I'm supposed to be saying the things that they want to hear to sell books and t-shirts and things like that. But because I have the nerve to stand 10 toes down, flat-footed for men, the very women who would be lining up to see me if I spoke a different way, they would be, you think the iPhone gets something? If I talk the way these women wanted me to talk, they would be acting like I'm the iPhone 14. They'd be out there for weeks waiting for me to get out there. But because I speak for you, it looks like Father's Day at church. Empty.
But why does it have to go to that right away? I think the thing that's shocking
it goes to that right away because you do need to be exemplary of what you're saying to people. I'm not listening. That's what the Donald Trump bullshit was.
Right, but he dresses very well.
You can't tell us how we need to be a country that's this, and that when your shit is fucked up and you could barely be eloquent.
Right.
Like, don't tell me that I deserve a person who looks like this when, like, Kevin Samuels is 6.5, 7.
Right, but the thing about Kevin Samuels is that it's not about him. It's like
6.5, 7, madly successful, very popular. Lots of people know me, and I was that before I got here. And I don't make the same kind of petulant little childlike argument that so many of you ladies get because you get upset with just the truth. Why is this important? Because modern women simply can't handle the truth. So much so that here comes the shame, insults, guilt, the need to be right. Now they're starting to try to recruit people to try to come at me. I want to see somebody kick his ass. Why don't you just get better? Why don't you just become the women that your mother, your grandmother, and your great-grandmother were? You know, the women that got married and kept men? Why don't you become the women that men actually want instead of trying to say, well, I want to see his woman. Trust me, my woman ain't got nothing for you. You can't hold a candle to the women I deal with. And I will tell you right now, when I do decide, if I do decide, you'll be able to hear a rat piss on cotton because I don't deal with trash. Trust and believe.
Number one, like, yes, he dresses nice and he came in here with an attractive woman and stuff. So he's doing what he can to paint the picture. But I think that the main thing that his content points out is just how women have had their hand held through life so much and are so not used to being told what's real. And on the other hand, it's like, if you're a fat dude who's ugly and is not going to get any pussy, I mean, it's just, the world is lining up to let you know that you ain't shit. And a lot of these women, they
fat
figure
guys
it,
get fucked. That's not true.
They figure it out at like 35
Ooh.
that they're just not, the world is just not as accommodating as they've been told their whole life.
Fat guys get screwed. Yes, because fat guys who get screwed have had to make themselves valuable. See, what she didn't say is fat, unattractive, broke guys get screwed. See, and gentlemen, we know this. So, like I say to all my critics and detractors who tell me my tone and this and what woman you're dealing with, tell you what, sis, homegirl, you bring your man, I bring my woman. Let's see what happens. Let's take pictures. Let's line up side by side and let's see what happens.
I'll make you famous.
I don't think you want to do that. It'll be a bad goddamn day for you.
And now we have Kevin Samuels to let them know. And I think that he's actually doing important work.
I can't wait for Dr. Umar to get his ass. I really hope they get
And hey, let me say this too. Dr. Umar and any other black men, do not allow women to put batteries in your back. This is the main thing that has brought the black community down right here. When a black woman cannot defeat the argument, she wants to send somebody at the black man to destroy. So that's like, I can't wait for Dr. Umar. What do Dr. Umar and I disagree with? Black families with black people, black men leading, black men taking responsibility, building the community. What do we disagree with? Black boys at the bottom need to be improved. What do we disagree with? Outside the fact of calling you Queen Mother God of sea moss gold. We don't disagree on a whole lot. And I guarantee you, things we disagree with as men, we will slide that to the side because the things we agree with are a lot greater. See, that's what you women don't understand. It's because your asses get petty and snippy and catty with women. You can't overtake men because you can't even work together. You got women who don't like some chick from the 4th grade because of something she did and the other chick don't even know. And you want men to act catty. You're not going to get men to act catty like women because we understand without us, this thing falls apart. So stop trying to recruit men to come and go get him, Dr. Umar. Go get him. Dr. Umar got his own business. He got his own purpose. And trust me, before he can do anything with you, he's going to need men like me to help him realize his dream. Check your shit at the door. Get better instead of trying to get me. Look at this. This is how far they'll go because they can't handle the truth. Stop him. Stop him. Don't say it. Go beat him up. Shut him down. This is why 911 ends up at your house, police knocking on your door. Adam 22 ain't calling nobody on me. It's my Nubian queen.
But Dr. Umar's living in a fantasy world. Kevin talks about real shit.
How is Dr. Umar in a fantasy?
Because he kind of relies on these like fake arguments too of being like, you say mean things to black women. It's not really about that.
No, Dr. Umar is like way deep. Mind you, he's super homophobic, and I can't even believe I'd be sticking up for him like this. But like, right. I have really seen Dr. Umar for the good in what he's taught people about blackness that I fuck with.
Oh, you heard that? Now, I don't know what her sexual preference orientation is, but she said he's super homophobic, so I'm going to agree. I'm going to assume that she's at least in favor. But she's seen the good that he's doing so about blackness, so she fuck with it. Then I challenge you, ma'am. Don't speak my name again. Don't say a word about me until you understand who the hell you're talking about. And that's another problem in our community. People are always talking about people before they actually go do their research. If you don't do your research on me, keep my name out your mouth, please. Especially if you want to speak with some sort of authority, talk about I'm a horrible person. You don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know about the content. And I will put your warped, small perspective against the dozens and hundreds of black women who have said thank you to me. The mothers, the wives, the daughters who say I'm a better wife, I'm a better daughter, I'm a better spouse, my husband and my future generations, thank you. Go to my comment section. I don't post I could post them, but I'm not going to. But see, that would be too much like right. Because all you have to do, gentlemen, is just say something that they don't like and then boom. See, in our community, it's real easy. They don't want to listen to you unless they like what you look like. And then you got to say what they want to hear. If those two things aren't there, then you might as well be invisible. Problem is, I can be seen.
Him for it. I think like when I'm making the Dr. Umar Kevin Samuels joke, I really just want someone to see Kevin Samuels. Like I want to see someone really tell him about himself because I think he needs that. I'm not that person to do that. You're not that person to do that. But
now, why don't you come tell me about myself? Why don't you do that? Since though you know so much about me, why don't you come tell me about myself? See, the problem is women don't like to be told about themselves. All I do is take calls and have consensual conversations with willing adults and just ask questions. That's it. But I have the nerve to do it. I have the nerve to just ask the uncomfortable question. And it doesn't matter if I have a 23-minute conversation with somebody on the wrong day about the wrong topic, someone who could afford to book service. Doesn't matter. All you remember is the 2-3 seconds of a 23-minute clip that I didn't sit there and kiss somebody's foot and tell them man, if you don't get out of here.
Dr. Umar, I think it really tear his ass the fuck up.
But I don't know. I just don't.
And let me qualify. If we debate the subject matter, the facts, the data, the statistics, the outcomes, not the opinions. If we debate the subject matter, anybody.
I think that the arguments that I heard from that viral video about Kevin Savelles, I just didn't think that's not going to hold any weight. If they're going head to head in a debate, I just think Kevin's going to wash the floor with him, because it's so much more ground level perspective of how we actually know that people operate.
It's just the message that he's giving. He's not really telling you like you need to like, you know, put your standards in check. He's really like shitting on these girls to the point where he's like, this is what you deserve. And
but
I think
those are the women who call in and ask for relationship advice. So it's kind of hard for me to I agree. If you were to just choose a random woman in the public eye and just start rating her.
Listen to this. He's doing this. He's doing that. You watch my content. How long? And this is a person, and this is another content creator talking about a content creator. You don't watch my stuff. You should know better. But honestly, you do watch. You do watch. You watch enough to know that I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm going to call it right down the middle. And wait till you hear one of the most outrageous points. Because I've debunked so many of these superficial, easy, second grade arguments. Shout out to Quine Brown. I told you, this is quicksand. You fools is too easy. You got to come better with this. You're used to dealing with people that are just going to back down. I'm going to lean into the argument to see what you got.
Dating possibilities that would be very like bad,
I mean, in a way, it's like the Jerry Springer shit, right? It's like, yo, why do they go on this show
right.
when they watch every week and they know they about to look crazy?
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe it's hard for me because of the age. Maybe because they're black women. Like, I just feel like every clip I've seen when he's shitting on a girl, they're black. And like, that's really hard for me to watch.
I feel like that's just his audience.
Every clip, she see me shitting on a black woman. Ma'am, disingenuous at best. Clip with almost 1 million views on it with me talking to 3 non-black women. 2 of them. On World Star. Countless videos on World Star, me talking to non-black women. Countless videos on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook memes. Knock it off. The fact of the matter is, you, just like Sister Shahrazad Ali said almost 40 years ago, black women have been held apart from introspection, critique, and they're part of the problem. And that's the problem. You have not been critiqued to where any critique seems to like you're bashing. You expect to win everything you do. Have you ever seen somebody who just expects to win all the time, and when they finally lose, they're shocked? Look on your left ring finger. Do you have a man of value actively vetting you to be his wife? If that's not what you want, like it or not, we got 1 out of 4 black women were married. At least double that number want to be married. Because the next lowest rate of married people in this country is white women at 54%. Just admit, you don't like the truth, because the truth is going to make you have to be accountable solely for your part.
I feel like he would be eager to talk shit to a white woman.
It might. You think so?
I don't really see, I don't think it's like racialized, besides the fact that he just has a largely black audience.
Well, I just mean the
white
viral
woman?
clips of like, you calling girls ugly. Like, they're always.
And believe me, he takes it way too far. He says the rudest, most fucked up shit I could ever think
That's
of.
what I mean.
And he knows that he's doing that, and he's going to get extra.
No, I don't take it way too far. I match energy. What you see, it may be too far for you. But I give exactly what needs to be given, because we don't start out far. We start out exactly where we need to start. The problem is some people only hear far. And that's what you folks need to understand. Stop shooting the messenger, because look about it, every time I've taken it too far, it's because every incremental adjustment was being overstepped.
Media attention from his audience for like.
But see, Howard Stern, a Charlemagne, people like that can make those moments happen without being that disgusting.
Who?
That's talent. What Kevin Samuels is doing
Who?
is just like mean. The way that you can bring out things to people and either get them a little riled up or angry or whatever, like that's not you really, really shitting on someone for this fucking moment. That kind of shit, I don't really like that.
I would never want to be in the position of having to do the kind of content that Kevin Samuels does. But actually, that's why I think it's almost kind of like brave, because Charlemagne like would never speak to a woman on his show that way. Granted, he doesn't interview just like random ass women who have nothing going for him, but I feel like he has too much of a career. He knows that his career would probably fucking
But there's
torpedo
no
if he
point
said
in
that kind of
doing
shit.
it.
The point, though, I think, is just to be real, just be
but
honest.
Charlemagne doesn't need to do that.
But don't you think we're in a
And that's the point. Nobody else can risk doing it. And she said it doesn't need to be done. Oh, 1 million subscribers and men every night say it does. And that's what bothers them. I don't know why they keep coming back. Why they keep coming back? Because just like the countless of men I've spoken to today, shout out to you, brother. Hope you and your wife had a lovely anniversary. You know who I'm talking about. Black man after 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 other 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 man after woman after woman after woman. Every time I go out, I hear thank you. So to all you women who can't seem to understand that this is actually helping. But see, it only helps the people who want to be helped. It only helps the people who actually want something healthy that's going to facilitate a conversation. You get to understand where the men are coming from. See, the problem is, think about the hype, think about the anaphylactic reaction I get. It's almost like Kevin Samuels' derangement syndrome. One guy with one YouTube channel gets all this heat when you've had 40 years of men ain't crap. To the point to where he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to do that. The nerve of you. Maybe you need to be quiet and listen instead of talking about what you don't know. But that's the problem with women not being able to handle the truth. They want to shut down discourse so it can just go back to being comfortably numb. Okay, here's the problem with that. You're not getting the outcomes you want.
society that really disincentivizes being honest?
Is honesty calling someone a linebacker?
I mean, if she's the size of a linebacker, then I
Dude,
mean, she's a
please stop.
linebacker, right? I mean,
I feel bad, bro. Like,
nobody would ever get on a woman's ass for saying the same thing to a fat man, basically, is what I would say about that.
the way that he shits on people, I don't know, bro. And I feel like fat guys get fucked, bro. Like, I fuck chunky dudes. Like,
I know that the world is set up unfairly for sure.
it is, because I started to look past it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'd be like, all right, he's funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're car.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so we'll screw fat dudes, but we ain't talking about just short-term hookups over here. We're talking about relationship. So shout out to Adam22, because I appreciate the fact that he, they have the conversation. And I think more and more men who may not even necessarily like what I do understand the need. Understand the need for it.
To prevent, whatever happened, whether it be relationship wise or why we ended up in the position we're in or whatever. And it's hard, especially when you're still angry or you're jaded, to just say, okay, I should have did that, or I messed up here, or whatever. Like, it's
Right.
difficult to accept that and admit that, because you still want to be angry or blame somebody
Right.
else. So it's hard to like self-reflect.
So let me ask you a question. How old did you say you are? 29?
31.
Uh-oh. Do you have women around you who can be honest with you and just tell you the truth? Okay. What do you want out of life regarding relationships? Would you like to be married one day? I can't. Is that yes? Hello? You muted yourself? I don't know if did you mute yourself, because I can't hear you. Yeah, you muted yourself. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me? Oh, I didn't mean to hit anything, but
Okay.
yes, I would like to be married.
Okay. Would you like children?
I have one 10-year-old.
Okay. And how's the relationship with your dad? His dad?
with my child's father.
Uh-huh.
We're mutual,
Okay.
but he's in another relationship.
All right. So do you want any additional children?
No,
Do you care if the man you're seeing has children?
no, and I'm willing to date. Like my preference is like older men for that's
Okay.
like the main reason.
Okay.
So I'm willing to date older
So,
because I don't want any more children.
okay. So I've got to be honest. See, this is why I think women need to have women around them that can tell the truth.
Mhm.
Because y'all don't tend to listen to us first. If you want to be married and you have a 10-year-old, that means you got a kid that's going to be with you at least another 8 years.
Mhm.
It is a very difficult proposition for a man to go into a marriage knowing he's not going to have any additional children. That removes almost 80% of the reason that men want to get married.
Even if
So,
it's an older man.
well, no, not necessarily if he's an older man, but this is where the competition thing comes in play. You still got a child that you're going to be with 8 years. He could easily go find a woman who's younger with no kids. It's
Mhm.
not going to, because it's cheaper. See,
Okay.
as a single mother, you are going to have to outperform your childless self. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Meaning,
So
go ahead. Go ahead.
my question is, what is the solution to that? Because I still, I've only been watching some of your content maybe like in the past week or two.
Okay.
So, but I haven't heard like a lot of solutions. Like I'm open to like feedback because I don't want any more kids. So
Why
what?
don't you? Well, okay. First off, we got to understand, why don't you want any more children?
Because my child is 10 and I'm single, like I'm not dating anybody. So I would have to meet someone, get to know them, get into a relationship, get married. So by the time I do that, how old do you think my child will be? Like 13, 14? So then I just don't want to start the entire process over. I don't want to have like a teenager and a newborn,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Just as like a mother and knowing like
Okay.
my
All right.
limit.
So the solution is to wait till your child uh, graduates.
I've thought about that. But then you
Because,
talk about like the
but
clock.
listen. But okay, see, here's the reality. As a single mother, there are all the choices are not easy. Because the
Right.
first thing I thought of was, you're selfish. You want, this is about you. I don't want to have an age gap. I don't want to have to do this. Marriage is not something you do for yourself. It is something you do for everything else other than you. Duty, respect, honor. That's what makes a 30, 40, 50-year relationship. If the man wants kids and you don't want kids, that's selfish for you. Understand the reason. So that would mean you may be perfectly lovely, but he's got to go into somebody and give him a child. Now, I'm going to ask a hard question. Is it that you don't want to have children, or you just don't want to have what you've already had, which likely wasn't a positive motherly experience? Okay, you mute yourself again. If you don't get your fingernails off the buttons, stop muting yourself.
Every time I swipe, it just
Okay, well,
mutes me. I'm sorry.
I don't know why you
So
keep swipe. I don't know why you keep swiping. Does your phone keep ringing or something?
no.
Okay. Um,
So I don't think it's just me being selfish. I think like I know the
well,
type of woman.
what I asked you initially is that, did you have a positive motherly experience?
No.
Okay, so ma'am, listen to what I'm about to say.
Mhm.
You were how old when you had your child?
21.
You were 21 in a healthy, happy, loving, committed marriage where you met a man, he met your family, you met his family. He did the traditional things, proposed to you, got your father's blessing. Your family paid for the wedding. Your friends came. You got the ceremony and everything, and then you guys lived together and uh, as newlyweds and enjoyed each other for a little bit of time. And then you got pregnant, and regardless of what, especially if you had a man who's a provider, and you had good health insurance and was able to have your baby in a safe environment, whether you took the FMLA 13 weeks off or you took out the first 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, and you had somebody there day in, day out, week in, week out, your experience would have been massively different, right?
Sure. Hmm.
Do you think you would still have the same opinion if your husband were to unfortunately be passed, if you were a widow and you were to look at marrying again? Would you still say, I don't think I want any more children?
I'm really not sure. Probably not. But when
Okay.
I say I don't think it's selfish, it's because I'm thinking about like the type of woman I want to be and the type of wife I want to be like
What
to
is
my
that?
man. And I
What is that?
being like I want to be able to be more lighthearted and just um like my more womanly or bubbly self. And I think that when I'm a mom or when you have a newborn, it's just a lot of work and it's a lot of mental strain and
Of course,
physical
it's a lot of
strain.
work when you're a single mother. It's a lot of work when you're a single
Yeah,
mother. Okay, and this is why having a child out of wedlock is so traumatic.
I agree. I listen.
So,
I preach
so,
that
so,
to
I mean, and
everybody I know.
what I'm trying to get you to understand is, okay, let's start here. Uh, if you're married, do you want to have to work to pay significant bills in the household?
No.
Okay. What percentage of the family financial load do you want to have to be responsible for a lifetime?
Ooh,
What percentage?
percentage?
Yeah. Like right now, you have to be responsible for 100% of your family's financial load for a lifetime.
Right.
When married, what percentage would you want to have to be responsible for?
Ideally, zero.
Okay. So you want a man to come in, and what state do you live in?
Arizona.
Arizona. How much is a man going to have to make to facilitate you, a child, and him, and a wife that doesn't work?
Six figures
Uh huh.
in Arizona.
Okay, six figures can be anywhere from $100,000 to 999,000.
Maybe 250K. This is just a guess.
Yeah, that's about it. And did you go to college?
No.
Okay. What percentage of men in this country earn $200,000 or more?
Oh, I've heard you say this before. It's a very small, like less than 10%. It's a very small percentage.
No, that's less than 100. That's over 100. You talk about men in the top 3% of men. And I'm going to be very honest with you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Men in the top 3% are not looking to pay for anybody else's children.
Mm-hmm.
They can go make their own families. Men like that want legacy because they've had to make themselves a high value man. They don't want to provide for another man's legacy. Every dollar they put in your child is paying for another man. It is biologically ridiculous for us to do that. Let's take it away from human beings, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If a new set of male lions takes over a pride of female lions, what happens to the lion cubs from the other men?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know. Lions are
What do you?
ruthless, so I don't know.
No, no. What do you think though? You got five lionesses, you got
Mm-hmm.
seven cubs, and you had two lions there. Then you get two more lions come and depose those other two lions. So those other two lions get run off or killed or something, and the five lionesses are there and the seven cubs. What happened to the seven cubs?
They something something to where they're no longer around.
What you're an adult. What does that mean? Something
They
where they
kill
know.
them.
What do you think happens?
Do they kill the cubs?
I'm asking. Do you think they raised them?
Probably not.
What do the mothers do with them?
I don't know.
Okay, this is the unfortunate part that we've allowed women to not even understand nature. In nature, the cubs will be killed because every time the new lion comes in, he has to bring food. He's not gonna feed another lion's kids. This is how it is in nature. So, and the mothers sit back and like, well, and you know what happens when the lion cubs are disposed of? They go in the heat. What I'm trying to get you to understand, ma'am, is you want to be a taken care of woman, right?
Mhm.
What does your baby daddy do?
He lives, well, I'm from Michigan, so he's still in Michigan.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
What does he do for a
but
living?
he works for the big three. It's in the automotive industry.
Okay, is he high ranking or is he on the factory?
No, he's in the factory.
Right. Is he on child support?
No, it's no, we're not. We don't have anything court ordered.
So, ma'am, this is going to sound harsh, but this sounds crazy. You want
Mm.
a man to come get you later in life, used with somebody else's kid, and put you up like a traditional wife, and the man you made a baby for ain't even doing nothing. That would make no sense for a man.
Mm.
And he can't even get a child out of you?
But what if it's like an older guy and he has his own children?
I
Do you
would
not?
I'm older and I don't deal with single mothers. I
Mm.
got my own children. I would not take care of your child. There are plenty of young women out there with no kids. First off, the fact that you had, I mean, if you want the honest truth, the fact you had a child is a severe mark against you, because that means you don't make good decisions. Then I'm gonna go vet the man who you had a child by, and if he ain't at least on my level, we got nothing to talk about. I'm not gonna raise a lesser man's child. Bottom damn line. I am not gonna bring you around my colleagues, friends, country club, this and that, and be dragging some bastard around from somebody else, because that's what the kid is called. And because if I did, they would ask, "Hey, you got married? You got a wife? Okay. Hey, girl, who's your ex-husband? Oh, I wasn't married. Oh, okay. Well, where's your child? Oh, he's a okay. So this is a doctor. This is a lawyer. This is an Indian chief. This is a pharmacist. This is a business owner. This is a this or this. And what is your child's father? He's a oh, okay. And you just sitting up in the suburbs, not paying any bills. You've been looking at too many Instagram.
But
You
I
don't.
know some women who are well, not married, but they're in relationships with
Yes, that's right,
providing men.
ma'am. And
They have
understand,
children.
understand. They'll deal with you. They'll have sex with you. They won't marry you. That's one of the things I talk about on this show. High value men look at legacy, and it doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make you bad. But what I'm saying is, you're talking about marriage, and you're not even gonna. Okay, let's see if we can put it this way. Do you know how to cook well?
Yes.
Do you have a recipe book?
No. I
How many?
use like online, and then I learned recipes from my grandmother. She's
Okay.
Jamaican.
Can you bake?
Yes.
All right. How tall are you?
5'4".
Dress size?
My what?
Dress size?
Small.
No. Dress size. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Oh, 4.
Okay. All right. How many tattoos do you have?
A lot.
You have any piercings?
Yes, but not visible.
Okay.
Just like my ears.
All right. Is your natural hair? Is it a wig? What?
No, I moved to Arizona, so I
Mm-hmm.
have not found a stylist yet. But in Detroit, I wore my natural hair all the
But
time. I got my hair done every week,
is it what I'm? How long is your natural hair?
like to my shoulder.
Okay. So, ma'am, this is where women start to get upset. I don't know. You're a high school graduate, right?
Mm.
You have lots of tattoos, piercings, someone else's child. 31, he's a 10-year-old. And now it sounds like you want to be Sally Homemaker and have a man pay all the bills. Why is that? Okay, if your son became an attorney, right? Or something like
I don't
that.
have a son,
Huh?
but yeah,
Say what?
I don't have a son. It's a
Daughter?
girl. But go
Okay.
ahead, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, let me just switch anyway. If you had a
Hmm.
son and he had to go become an attorney and making $250,000 a year, would you want him bringing home a woman who had a child by another man? Would you want him bringing you home?
Well, I wouldn't have a problem with that, honestly. But again, I'm biased because I am a single mother, and I think it's
But you
more
would
so
want, but
about
you would want your, but you would want your son out of all the women he could pick from to pick a woman who has a child and doesn't want to have a child. That's what you'd want for your child.
I wouldn't see somebody with a child as a negative though.
But that's the
But
problem. It is, man. But that's the problem. That's the problem. It is. It is a big negative. And the fact that you ladies don't see, you look at your children and you love your children and you don't
right.
see it lowering your value. I see this across YouTube all the time, and it's delusion, ma'am.
But I wouldn't mind a man who has children though.
But the difference is we got to take care of them. A man's not getting a kid from you. See, what you're not doing is, what are you bringing to the table except expectations? A man can't even get a child from you. So it's not like that's the deal. And then he's taking care of another child. That's a double negative.
So in terms of
Let me ask you this. In, could your husband discipline your daughter?
yeah, my husband, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yes.
Could he whoop her?
My husband, yes.
Okay. Then and your daughter comes home and she's mad at your husband and she say he did XYZ. See, you ladies don't realize what you're asking for a man. You're asking for a man who has resources to put and means to put all that at risk. And you may be a perfectly lovely woman, man, but it comes down to what are you bringing to the table that's better than other women with no children or women who may have a child and they want to give that man a kid. Your case is laden with I don't see it moving. I don't, especially not wanting to work. I don't know where they make y'all at like this. I don't where'd y'all grow up thinking this was make sense.
I wouldn't mind like I definitely plan to work. Like I don't have no problem. I would never rely on someone
You said
100%
you
to
didn't
take
want to
care of
have
my
to work to
child.
pay significant bills. You said you didn't
Yeah, I
want.
didn't want
I
to.
asked
I don't want to like
what percentage
pay
of the
rent
family
and shit.
financial load do you want to have to be responsible for? None. You said you want somebody making a 200. I know what you said, ma'am. And the
Right,
reality is, you don't want to have the financial pressure. If you work or not work, you don't want it to impact the family in any way.
right.
That's the reality, ma'am. Were you raised with this? Were you raised with in a family like this?
Yes, my mom and dad are married, still
Okay.
married.
Okay.
But both my parents work.
Okay.
My
But
dad
but both your
at his.
parents worked, but your mom worked.
Mhm.
But why don't you think you should have to? Why don't you want to have to work?
Her money was put towards like savings and like little stuff that she
I
wanted
don't.
to do.
But she
But
worked.
yeah,
How many
but
siblings do
you
you
asked
have?
about
How
paying
many
a
siblings do
significant
you
amount of the
have? How
bill.
many siblings do you have?
Two other sisters.
Thank you. Your father got 3 kids out of your wife, out of your mom.
Yes.
Ma'am, you're not this person. You're not this person. And unfortunately, this is a good conversation because it shows the damage that this Disneyification has done to the black community. The reality is this, ma'am. You're a high school graduate who had a baby at 20 for a factory worker. If you were an average looking woman, you would not be asking for all this. It is unreasonable. That is why you cannot find a husband. You can find people to date. You'll find people who have sex with you, they'll hook up. But as far as putting a ring on it, absolutely not. Not the kind of men you're making the kind of money you're talking about.
Okay, so in terms of solutions,
Lower your standards to match who you are.
okay, so what do you think that is? So if I don't want to have
Okay.
either
All right.
have
Here's
more
how
kids
here's how we
or
do this. Here's how we do this. What would
okay,
you rank your looks on a scale from 1 to 10? Fresh face out of the shower, your natural hair, and you can't use 7.
8.
You put okay. I put Beyonce at around an 8, Kelly Rowland around a 9, Rihanna 10. You put yourself around Beyonce level.
Okay, Beyonce's an 8, then 6.
Okay. I give you a 6. I give you a 6. You're cute. Cute is one step above average. And according to you, you're dress size 4, and you weigh about what? Approximately. What did you weigh the last time you weighed yourself?
165, 170.
165, 170? No, that ain't a dress size 4. You every bit of dress size 8.
Oh, I can go in my closet. All my dresses say small though.
Okay, so if you're 5'4", 180 pounds, you weigh more than a man at your height. I'm the image consultant. I know women's sizes. I used to do fashion merchandise. Unless you are an H cup, you're not 30 pounds of breast. The women I date deal with 5'4", 125 pounds, and I know what it looks like all the time. You 50 pounds more than that. That's 8. So that's already, you're too big.
So I just had like a significant weight loss. So I'm getting like skin removal and I'm going through this whole process.
But see, that's the fact that you got to do all that when your competition is already that with no kids should let you know. You got to go through transformation to get to what we already want. And they got no baby. And you got a whole grown person. Man, you're a 6 and you're below average in your body. So that puts you right about average. You will be good to get a man making $50,000 a year, and you will work for the rest of your life. And that's a good deal. 72% of mothers in this country work full or part-time. Your mother worked, and your father got 3 kids out of it. The problem is you ladies ask for far too much, and you massively overestimate your sexual marketplace value. If you were a vehicle, you'd be a Honda. Reliable.
So
good, reliable,
saying,
not insulting. It's good, reliable, but you use Honda. Go ahead. What am I asking? What are you asking?
So you're saying if at best, I would get a man who makes 50K and I would still have to work for the rest of my life. And I'm already working for the rest of my life and don't want to have any more kids. Then do you think it's even beneficial to be in that situation?
Well, then who's going to, okay, see, so and let me say this, audience. See, this is what, and I'm going to say this to the audience, not necessarily you. See, audience, this is what's been marketed to women. If a man can't pay all your bills, then what's the use of having a man? Let me ask you this then, man, before I answer that question. From 25 to 65, if you just make $50,000, if you make $50,000 a year, which is $20,000 more than the average woman, black woman, if you made that $50,000 and you got a cost of living raise every year of 3%, and if you stack $200 savings a month for 40 years, upon retirement at age 65, and you have a life expectancy to 85, you will need $2.9 million to live that last 20 years. At $50,000, you will have a $750,000 shortfall, meaning you won't have enough money to last the rest of your life. Where do you plan on getting the money to provide you for the rest of your life if you never get married and you only have one income? Uncle Sam won't have it. The government won't have it. There will be no Social Security. There are no homeless shelters. There are no Herculean methods. There is nothing to go to get it from. Whatever you thought would be out there doesn't exist. How you going to live? in your elder years?
Right now, I actually have two full-time jobs in like an online business. So
Okay.
I'm prepared to
Do you
say
make in excess
anyway because I
do you make in excess of $80,000 a year?
no, not yet.
Okay, ma'am, it doesn't matter what you have. I gave you an example of 50,000 and that person is childless. Marriage is not an option for you, ma'am. It is a requirement. You need another income. And you need to get another income and then be grateful that somebody would be willing to marry you with a kid and deal with you. Because the reality is, when you hit 65, you're either going to be living in a cracker box, eating what you got to stretch money, deciding to pay your rent or your medication, because the government won't do it. They won't have the money. And see, the problem is women in your age range have been sold this fantasy about marriage to where you're only looking at men who are this and that, and then you put these outrageous things on it. I'm not going to have a kid, this and that. And ma'am, you don't have those options. And you just said it. You had a massive weight. How much weight did you lose? You say 40, 50, what?
150.
Oh, you got to be. You got to be. Have you been trolling me? That's pretty good if you have though. You lost 150. You were 300 pounds.
I was.
Holy shit! I swear to God, y'all, I didn't pay her. I swear to God, I didn't pay her. I did not pay her. I swear to God, I did not pay her. I swear to God, I did not pay her. Man, a 300-pound high school graduate with a baby.
Well,
What?
I'm
What?
not 300. This is my question. So if you're trying
Man,
to,
but
if a
before you,
woman's trying
I
to
don't
like
care. But
improve
before you ask your
herself,
question, I'll answer your question. But I got a real serious question. Where the hell do you get off having that kind of expectation below average?
I'm not 300 pounds now. I lost a significant amount of weight. I've done a lot of work on myself physically and spiritually and mentally. So we talked before about like pretty privilege and how it just gets you in the door and the type of person you are, who you are, what you bring to the table with, you know, was what was going to get you a relationship or keep you a man or whatever. So I don't think the fact that I used to weigh 300 pounds would make me any
How
less
long ago did you
appealing.
weigh 300 pounds?
4 years ago.
Ma'am, that ain't. Oh, a 300-pound woman who was the high school graduate with tattoos and piercings, and your baby daddy's a factory worker. You are the definition of average at best. You got a cuter face than average women. But I said you're 6. You put yourself up at an 8. Your standards are outrageous. So it doesn't matter if you're not 300 pounds now. You still got 300-pound leftover skin and all that stuff. But your attitude, you're not mean, you're not combative, but you're entitled. Like you're a princess, and the man is supposed to go out and become a top 3% man to get an X 300-pound baby mama. That makes absolutely no logical sense, except online. I'm gonna ask you a serious question. Have you ever had any kind of counseling or therapy?
I have. And I've had skin removal procedures already,
But
and
ma'am, it
I've
doesn't
been
matter. Okay, but
therapy.
ma'am, that's okay. The physical gets you in the door.
Right.
But you are far too entitled for who you are. Why do you think as an average woman you need an above average or a high earning man when you're
Because like
make
you said, looks aren't everything.
yeah, they're not. But why okay, what does that mean to you? Looks aren't everything.
I think like high school graduate means that I can't hold it doesn't mean I can't hold a conversation or I can't hold
I
my
never
own.
said that, but I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm not saying you couldn't hold your own. What I'm saying is there's no additional secondary education. So you're wanting a man who has to go get all that. What kind of men make in excess of $200,000? It's typically not a blue collar guy unless he owns something.
Yeah, like realtors. Like I've worked with
That's white
a lot
collar.
of high earning. Yeah.
But ma'am, that's a salesperson. That's a different. This is fascinating because I'm trying to ask a realistic question.
Okay.
Your mother and father were middle class people.
Hmm.
Where did you get this Fresh Prince of Bel Air mindset? You got a child at 20. Why do you think you should have a man who arguably is low grade rich? $250,000 is a lot of money. That's earning 6 times what the average black man earns. Why?
I wouldn't to me
Mm-hmm.
or just from the people around me, I think that like, who I am or my personality or the type of woman that I am, is deserving of that, even though I do have a child. Just like you said, money and
It's
things
deserve,
like
ma'am. You have is deserving of that. What does that mean? Your personality, meaning you're pleasurable to be around.
yeah, like even though you said I have an entitled attitude, I'm a princess, I think that there are you said a guy can find someone who's younger that
Yes,
doesn't have kids,
yes,
but that doesn't mean that they're grounded or like you can find a
ma'am. You're not
23 year
grounded
old
in.
who
You're
has
not
kids.
grounded in. But ma'am, I'm trying to be as okay. You may be nicer than Bonquisha and Kilolo, but that does not mean you're the kind of okay. Let me also just put it this way: you're not just competing against black women at that level. You're competing against all women. You're competing against the women that are around that man. When that man is in a room, you need to look at the women that are going after him. They don't have a bunch of hand tattoos and piercings. You may be nice, man, and agreeable, and you may be better than your friends. But if I take you into a room with these men, they're not going to look at you like they're going to look at other women. You would be fun. You would not be wife. Soon as they hear you're 31 and a 10-year-old, you're out. That's it. That's over. They're not going to do that. It doesn't matter that you just went to high school because going to college just means that you're around the other wives and they got something to talk about. Like it or not, social class comes into it and they do look down on women who are just high school graduates. Like it or not, they do. Unless you come from a long line of wives, the wives will be like, oh, okay. Oh, they're gonna look down on you. I'm not gonna lie. And then they're gonna ask who the child's father is. All this matters is social class, and we gotta have this conversation. I'm gonna do a broadcast next week on octane levels because we don't talk about social class enough in the black community. But I will tell you that I've had more conversations with women who will tell you that they either didn't match up to their boyfriend's social class, or the men didn't match up to the woman's. It matters in the black community. It matters everywhere. And I'm not understanding why a woman who had a child and who weighed as much as you did, and who the child's father is, why you set your sights so exorbitantly high. You set your Does your father make $250,000 a year?
Yes, he has a full-time career and he owns multiple businesses.
Okay. And did he make that amount of money at your age?
Probably not.
No. And reason people catching in, this is a woman who doesn't want to have any additional children.
Yeah, that's why initially I was saying I was open to dating older, or
Older doesn't mean fool, ma'am. Okay, I'm trying to be as nice as I can, but still, I'm an older man. The women I deal with, take me out of it. The men that I know age gap date, women who are 10 years younger than them minimum. They don't date baby mamas. Baby mamas are not in the equation. And the guys that do have children,
right,
still prefer not to date baby mamas because they don't want to pay another bill. That child is a bill. And you don't really want to have to work. So that means you're going to be giving that bill to your man. What are you bringing to the table that's better than Brenda or Tammy or Anu or Maylene or miscellaneous black woman? What are you bringing to the table that's better than all these women, to where a man has to pay for another man's child and can't have one from you? You got to answer that in the marketplace. Your standards are your standards, fine, but you are shooting far past your S&B. Your S&B is average, and that's giving you an adjustment for a more pleasant face, but your body is below. So that averages out to average. But here's the problem: if even if we gave you an average of 5, right? If you watch my broadcast, a kid knocks you down by 2 points. So that puts you what? At 3. 4 on a good day, but that's below average. And I'll round this out. Have you ever been engaged?
No.
Okay. It's the longest relationship you ever had with anybody.
You said, what is the longest relationship?
Longest.
7 years.
Was that your child's father?
It is.
All right. And what age was that over?
27.
And why didn't you guys marry?
He wasn't faithful. He was like dishonest.
How much was he making a year annually? About?
I couldn't say. 30, 40,000.
He's making $15 to $20 an hour?
Yeah, about.
And now all of a sudden you think you should just jump up to $100.
Okay, this is one thing. Like when I was bigger and I was making more and I was paying bills and everything like that, I was accepting less and settling, because I was like,
you were accepting what you were. You were accepting what you were. It's not less, it's what you are.
But what I weigh is not what I am.
Yes, so it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's what you ladies keep saying. Yes, it is, ma'am. You cannot. Men on that level aren't checking for you, not for wife. You ain't been engaged to one. Are you even dating one seriously?
Well, I just moved here, so I've been on a few dates, but I haven't seriously been out.
Okay, and how long you been here?
Since the beginning of this year.
Since January. 7 months in Arizona.
Hmm.
Phoenix, Tucson, Scottsdale.
Phoenix area, like North
If
Phoenix.
you were that chick, you'd have had him by now. They are there. You're in denial. You've left your home. These men exist in Phoenix, Tucson, Scottsdale in particular. Man, at this pace, if you don't adjust your standard to match who you really are and stop talking about settling, and you need to right size this. And I need you to hear something, and it's going to sound harsh, but it's going to be some good advice. The man you're talking about will be settling for you. Because he's taking on you and another man's child with the knowledge he won't get one. That man is settling for you. So the way you got this is you got a man who's up here at a 9 level and you down here at a 3 or 4 level, talking about what you deserve. When you really should have a man at about a 5 level, maybe 6, and be happy to get him. This won't work. I don't think, I mean, if you're being honest with who you are, man, I don't think the kind of man that actually fits you, you would treat them I don't think you would really appreciate them because you sound like you think they're settling. But I've said this and I'm going to get to the next person. Thank you for being respectful. But man, I often tell women, your baby daddy is your limit. That's as high as you get. That's who you made a baby for. That's who you gave the highest honor a woman can give a man, and that's who you were with for 7 years. You cannot make up for mistakes of your youth when you're older, more used, and somebody's kids. That would be a horrible deal. And the only man that would do that would be a man who has no counsel for anybody, because if he had friends, they would say, do not do this. If he has brothers, they would say, if I had a friend that was in this, I would, hell no. No. And it's not because you may not be a nice person. It's just a bad deal. But thank you for being polite. Have a nice night.